Welcome to a deep dive tailored just for you. Today, we're really tearing into a stack of sources focusing on these key moments from, well, a true classic, The Count of Monte Cristo.
Yeah, it's such an epic. We're basically pulling out the core stuff,
Ah,
you know, meeting our hero, Edmond Dantès, when he's hopeful, then the betrayals that just shatter his life, landing him in prison.
right, and then that incredible twist of fate with the treasure and his meticulous return years later.
Yeah.
The revenge plot begins.
Exactly. And our mission here is, well, simple. Guide you through this rich material. We want to pull out the essential insights, maybe some surprising details you missed, so you get the heart of these sections, the story, the characters, without reading, hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Think of it like the fast track, the inside scoop on how this whole revenge epic gets set up.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Part 1, the setup. We first meet Edmond Dantès. He's this young sailor, life looking pretty good. How did the sources paint him right at the start?
Well, you see him immediately through his boss's eyes, M. Morel. And Morel thinks the world of him, calls him a thorough seaman, really capable despite being young, totally ready for that promotion to captain.
And Morel also mentions his character, right? Something about saving money?
Yeah, he notes Dantes is a careful fellow, saving his wages for his poor father. So right away, he's presented as skilled, responsible, respected, just a fundamentally decent guy.
What does that tell us about who he is, before everything goes sideways?
It shows his values are really simple, really pure. It's all about loving his father, respecting Emerald, and being completely devoted to Mercedes, his fiancée.
And he's quite protective of that relationship, isn't he?
Very. When Morel casually calls Mercedes his mistress, Dantes corrects him instantly, quite gravely, saying she is my betrothed. It really anchors him in this old-fashioned integrity and loyalty.
That sense of inherent goodness just makes the betrayal feel even harsher when it comes, and it starts almost immediately.
Oh, absolutely. The mood shifts the second Morel praises Dantes. You get this description of Danglars, the ship's supercargo. A cloud just passes over his face. Pure jealousy.
And he immediately jumps on something, doesn't he? The Elba, stop.
Right away, tries to make it sound suspicious. Why did you stop at Elba? And Dantes, completely innocent, just says it was Captain Leclerc's dying wish, a package to deliver. He has no idea that this simple act is going to be twisted against him.
And it's not just Danglars, there's Fernand, the romantic rival.
Yep, you've got Caderousse, kind of drunk and gossiping, mentioning Fernand's intense love for Mercedes and warning he could be terrible in his vengeance. Fernand is just consumed by jealousy.
And Danglars sees this, right? He uses it.
Oh, totally. Danglars actively provokes Fernand. The source uses this vivid image he pricked Fernand as the bull is by the bandilleros. It's deliberate manipulation, pushing Fernand's buttons.
Wow, and only Mercedes stops a fight right then and there.
Her glance stops Fernand from rushing Dantes. It's a powder keg, basically.
And then, bam, the arrest happens. What's so striking is Dantes' reaction. He's almost naive about it.
Completely. He thinks it's just a little mistake, something easy to clear up. He tells everyone be easy, goes along passively. He truly doesn't comprehend the malice aimed at him.
Meanwhile, Danglars is already thinking ahead.
Oh yeah, coldly calculating. His first thought is, okay, I'm temporary commander now. His only flicker of worry is Dantes getting out, but then he thinks, no, justice will take care of him. Just pure, chilling opportunism. Very different from Fernand's hot-headed jealousy.
So the sources eventually clarify who actually sends the letter.
Yeah, later on, Caderousse, full of guilt, remembers seeing the crumpled denunciation note. He figures Fernand must have grabbed it, maybe copied it, and sent it in. It shows how Danglars created the opening, and Fernand, driven by jealousy, took the fatal step.
And the man who receives this letter, who holds Dantès' fate in his hands, is Gerard de Villefort. What's his deal at this point?
Villefort is young, ambitious, 27, deputy attorney, already wealthy, engaged to Renée Samaral, a match bringing political clout, big dowry. He's described as feeling complete felicity, just dazzled by his future prospects. His own career is everything.
So this ambitious prosecutor questions the innocent sailor. How does that initial interrogation play out?
Villefort goes straight for the political angle. Were you supporting the usurper, Napoleon? Dantes is completely bewildered. He's barely 19. He just repeats his simple truths. I don't do politics. I love my father, respect Morel, adore Mercedes.
And Villefort actually believes him initially.
He does. He's struck by Dantes' ingenuous and open countenance, his sincerity. Villefort actually thinks this is a noble fellow and considers being lenient, maybe even thinking he would please Renée, who generally favored mercy. For a second, it looks like justice might win.
But it doesn't. What causes that shift? Why does he condemn an innocent man?
This is the crucial, dark turn. Despite believing him, Villefort walks out of the room, puts on a grave air. He sees Renée, but her concern is only for his departure, not the prisoner. And that seems to snap him back to his ambition.
He prioritizes himself.
Entirely. The text says flat out, the hapless Dantès was doomed. It's pure self-preservation. He realizes the letter mentions his own father, Noirtier, a known Bonapartist. Any connection, however remote, could ruin his career. So he sacrifices Dantès to protect himself.
The father connection. That's key. And we learn more about Noirtier, right?
You do. It shows where Villefort gets some of that ruthlessness. He describes his father as a Jacobin, involved in plots, operating under terrible theories, never shrinking from extreme measures.
That chilling line about removing an obstacle versus murder.
Exactly. Talking about General Canal just lost his way after meeting with them. It's terrifyingly cold. And Villefort himself warns his father their own future revenge will be sweeping. So Villefort's decision about Dantès, while personal, fits right into this family pattern of political calculation and, well, eliminating problems.
So just like that, Dantès goes from near freedom to the absolute depths. The dungeon tier, the source calls it, for the madmen with the madman.
Yeah, imagine that whiplash.
Yeah.
Total despair. And then, in that darkness, he meets Abbé Faria. What's Faria like?
Well, he's this older prisoner, famous for a failed escape attempt, some error in calculation. But what the sources really stress is his mind, his spirit. Almost incredible patience and perseverance in making tools, studying. He's a force of intellect.
And he becomes Dantès' lifeline, right? Through knowledge.
Absolutely. Dantès finds his conversation filled with useful and important hints, sound information. And it's never egotistical, the source says. Faria just opens up Dantès' mind, new vistas, fantastic glimpses of new horizons. It's so powerful that Dantès literally begs Faria, teach me.
This is the turning point. Not just surviving prison, but learning, transforming.
And Faria has this incredible secret linked to his past.
Yes. He used to be secretary to Cardinal Spada, the last of this incredibly wealthy family. As rich as the Spada, people said. Faria saw the cardinal studying old documents, and eventually the cardinal showed him lines hidden in a book detailing the secret location of the massive hidden Spada treasure.
Mind-blowing. But Faria reveals this when he's dying, right?
Hmm.
What are those final moments like?
It's incredibly moving. Faria is fading, but he stops Dantès from calling guards. He knows their connection has to stay secret for Dantès' sake. He tells Dantès, focus on escape. Use what I've taught you.
And he sees his death as helping Dantès.
In a way, yes. He calls it providence, removing half a dead body tied to you, suggesting Dantès needs to be free of him to succeed. He accepts his death, almost peacefully, as a final act of teaching, of sacrifice.
Passing the torch. And it completely reignites Dantès.
Totally. Faria's resilience, his knowledge, the treasure, it gives Dantès a fierce new purpose. He thinks, okay, Faria dug 50 feet, I'll dig 100. Faria took 3 years, I'm younger, I'll take 6 if I have to. Faria considered swimming 3 miles, I'm a sailor, I can do that.
He gets that mantra, right? What has once been done may be done again.
Exactly. He shifts from being a victim to being an agent, driven by Faria's legacy, the promise of escape, wealth, and, you suspect, already thinking about justice or revenge.
Okay, fast forward. Years pass. Dantès escapes, we don't see the details here, but it happens. And he shows up on the island of Monte Cristo. How does he arrive?
He's undercover, basically. Disguised, maybe looking wounded, amongst a group of smugglers on their boat. A tartan, he blends in.
And the island itself, what's the vibe?
It's described as kind of lawless, a known spot for smugglers, even pirates. One of the sailors, Gaetano, mentions being wary of unpleasant neighbors because they saw a fire on the island that you can only see from the sea. Very clandestine.
So he's there, following Faria's directions. How does the search for the treasure go?
He's described as agile, focused. He looks out at the sea, towards all these familiar places, Corsica, Sardinia, Elba, but he's watching the ships. Then, when he starts digging, he actually uses the phrase Faria taught him from the Arabian Nights story, open sesame.
That's brilliant, connecting the legend to the reality, and he finds it.
He does. Hits iron, then wood, uncovers this oak chest, bound in steel, and the lid, it's silver, engraved with the Spada family, crest, sword, shield, cardinal's hat. He knows it instantly because Faria drew it for him. It's the proof. The wealth is real.
And another huge turning point. Years later, again, the Count of Monte Cristo emerges in society. How is he described now?
Franz and Albert see him in Rome, and the description is intense. Severe, pale face, forehead marked by bitter thoughts, fiery eyes, a haughty lip, Franz calls him a Byronic hero. He looks maybe 40, but also timeless, ageless almost. Clearly a man transformed by hardship and resolve.
And he obviously has money. Serious money.
Oh, yeah. Immense wealth is immediately apparent. He travels on his own yacht. Albert, being a bit naive, just assumes he bought the island for privacy and dismisses the crew as Corsican bandits. They see the surface glamour, but they don't get the depth of his resources or his purpose.
And he quickly shows he has influence beyond just money.
Right. Arranging Albert's release from the bandit Vampa like it's nothing, it shows he moves in shadowy circles, commands respect or fear in places polite society doesn't even know about. It's an early signal of his power.
So let's track him in Paris. His interaction with Danglars, the banker, how does that go down?
It's all about undermining Danglars on his own turf. Money. The Count casually shows him payment orders for 1,000,000 francs, payable immediately, boasting he carries sums like that around.
Just flexing.
Totally. He's making Danglars' fortune feel second-rate.
And then he slips in that little jab. Why weren't the Morcerfs, Fernand's family, invited to dinner? It's designed to poke at Danglars' own resentments about Mercedes marrying Fernand.
He's playing them against each other already.
Yeah.
And what about Dame Danglars? He visits her in her private boudoir, the only room showing her taste, decorated with her lover, Lucien Debray. And he walks right into this massive fight.
What's the fight about?
Danglars is furious. He's accusing her of losing him a fortune 700,000 francs based on bad stock tips she got from Debray. Apparently 500,000 of that was lost, based on info Debray picked up at a minister's dinner.
Insider trading, basically.
Sounds like it. Danglars is threatening Debray with ruin.
Yeah.
And the Count, he just stands there, observing Madame Danglars' panic, taking it all in. He's mapping out their weaknesses, their secrets.
Okay, now things start getting really direct. The consequences start landing. Tell us about Bertuccio, the Count's steward, and that house in Auteuil.
Right. Monte Cristo deliberately takes Bertuccio to this specific house, 28 Rue del Fontaine. And Bertuccio freaks out. He's terrified, praying, crossing himself. The place holds some serious trauma for him.
And he reveals why. It connects to Villefort.
Yes. He confesses this is where he stabbed Villefort years ago, back in June 1829. And after stabbing him, he saw Villefort burying a small box near a tree. He identifies Villefort clearly, the former prosecutor from Nîmes, the one who married Mademoiselle de Saint-Méran. It links Villefort to a past crime, right at this location.
Bertuccio's story also ropes in Caderousse again, doesn't it?
It does. Bertuccio explains he was hiding near Caderousse's inn around that same time. He overheard Caderousse talking with a jeweler, discussing the old Dantès betrayal, and then plotting to murder the jeweler's companion. He saw the diamonds, witnessed the whole setup, and the murder committed by Caderousse and his wife. Then he went to Auteuil and saw Villefort burying the box.
So Caderousse went from complicity to active, brutal crime.
Exactly. Bertuccio's testimony paints a picture of how the original betrayers continued down dark paths.
And Monte Cristo uses this knowledge. He brings Villefort to that same house.
Oh, it's psychological torture. He casually mentions the house might have bad memories. Maybe deaths, burials. Shows him the staircase where a crime happened. Villefort gets visibly uncomfortable, even brings up his father Nortay's theories about removing obstacles, basically admitting politics was the start of his fortune.
The Count is just tightening the screws.
And he notes he saw Villefort talking to Madame Danglars there too, hinting he knows about their affair, another secret Villefort once buried.
This calculated revenge inevitably starts hitting the next generation. Albert de Morcerf, Fernand's son.
Right. Albert introduces the Count around. He even asks him about news from Greece, specifically the Yanina affair involving his father, noting the Count's significant smile. He's maybe trying to show off his connections, but he's walking right into the Count's web. Beauchamp, the journalist, picks up on this too.
Which leads to Fernand's public disgrace.
Yes. The Count arranges for Haydée, who is Ali Pacha's daughter, the man Fernand betrayed, to testify. She exposes Fernand Mondégo's treason, how he sold her and her mother into slavery. It happens publicly, ruins Fernand utterly. The Count uses the truth delivered by a victim as his weapon.
Albert must be devastated. He confronts the Count.
Absolutely. He's furious, accuses Monte Cristo of setting his father up, of hypocrisy. Who wrote to Yanina for the details, he demands. The Count sort of sidesteps, denies other manipulations like the Cavalcanti marriage, even though everyone knows he's pulling the strings.
And it leads to a duel challenge.
It does. Albert challenges him. Beauchamp acts as his second, asks for honorable guarantees. Monte Cristo's reply is ice cold. I am, sir, a living guarantee. We have both blood in our veins which we wish to shed. He's ready to kill the son of his enemy.
But then Mercedes intervenes. This feels like the emotional core.
It really is. She goes to Monte Cristo. And she knows him, not by sight but his voice. Edmond, she says. She knows he's behind Fernand's ruin.
How does he react? Still the cold count.
Initially, yes. Mercedes is dead, he tells her, meaning his Mercedes, the one who should have waited. He throws his own pain back at her. Does she see the woman he loved marrying his rival while he rotted in prison?
But her response changes things.
Completely. She doesn't defend the past. She speaks to the present horror with deep anguish. I saw him whom I loved on the point of murdering my son. That plea, her pain for Albert, it shatters his resolve.
The sources say the lion was daunted. The avenger was conquered.
Yeah. Faced with her raw grief, his humanity resurfaces. His need for revenge falters when faced with the potential cost to her, to their son. He agrees to spare Albert.
So the duel is called off. How?
Monte Cristo sends Albert a note. It reveals he knew Albert's plans all along. He tells Albert to leave with his mother, face their new reality, spare her more pain. He even mentions knowing Albert is leaving his possessions behind.
And he connects it back to his own past.
Explicitly. He writes about his own return 24 years earlier, finding the woman he loved married to his rival. It's the final unmasking for Albert, showing him this wasn't random chance, but the direct consequence of his father's actions brought about by the man they destroyed.
Wow. And there's one last glimpse, right? The Count watching Haiti.
Yeah, it's brief but poignant. He sees Haiti sleeping and reflects. He thinks Mercedes remembered that she had a son, while he, consumed by revenge, forgot I had a daughter beating Haiti, who he has a duty to protect.
He feels responsible for her.
Yes. He calls her poor Haiti, feels he can't just disappear without making sure she's safe. It suggests maybe his journey of vengeance is nearing its end, and he's thinking about the innocent people caught in the crossfire, needing to secure their future.
What an incredible arc. So, wrapping up what we've seen in these specific sources, we started with Edmond Dantès, this hopeful young man.
Yeah, whose simple life is just completely wrecked by these betrayals, Danglars' envy, Fernand's jealousy, Caderousse's weakness, Villefort's ruthless ambition, all landing him in the Chateau d'If.
And then the transformation. The despair turning into, well, opportunity through Abbé Faria, the knowledge, the treasure.
Leading to the emergence of the Count of Monte Cristo, this powerful, mysterious figure who comes back and meticulously re-enters the lives of everyone who wronged him. Danglars, Villefort, Caderousse, Via Bertuccio's story, Fernand.
And Mercedes. We see him interact with all of them, pulling strings, exposing secrets, setting his intricate plan in motion.
And it impacts the next generation, forcing these confrontations with Albert, and ultimately that incredibly powerful scene with Mercedes, which seems to shift his course.
Every interaction just peels back another layer of this complex revenge plot, all fueled by what happened years ago, but executed with this almost terrifying precision and power.
It's fundamentally a story about the long shadow of betrayal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how knowledge, wealth, power can come from the most unexpected places, but also the immense personal cost of seeking justice. Or maybe vengeance.
Which really leaves you with that big question, I think. When you've been wronged so profoundly, like Dantès was, can you actually get justice without becoming just as ruthless as the people who hurt you in the first place?
Yeah, where is that line? Did the Count find it, or did he cross it? Something to definitely keep thinking about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for diving deep with us into these sections of Monte Cristo today.
My pleasure. It's always fascinating to revisit.